creepy experience camping on Mount Whistler. It was supposed to be the perfect camping trip. A group of 5 friends, Hannah, Luke, Emma, Carter, and Sam, had planned a weekend escape to Mount Whistler. Nestled deep in the woods, the mountain was famous for its breathtaking views and sprawling hiking trails. The air was crisp, the stars always seemed to shimmer brighter there, and the cabin at the base had a cozy charm that felt like a retreat from the world. The first night, the group set up their tents in a small clearing just off the trail. The trees loomed overhead, their skeletal branches weaving against the moonlit sky. The fire crackled, sending shadows dancing into the woods as they unpacked their food and gear. Laughter filled the air as they shared stories and roasted marshmallows. But as the night wore on, a subtle unease crept into their conversation. "I swear I heard something in the woods earlier," Carter said, brushing ash off his jeans. "Just an animal," Emma said with a shrug, spearing a marshmallow on a stick. "There's nothing out here but deer and raccoons." Still, the sound lingered in their heads, soft rustling, faint footsteps, always just outside their view. They went to bed with their sleeping bags drawn tightly around them. The tent felt safe enough, protected by the fabric walls and the sound of the wind whistling through the trees. But as Hannah lay awake staring at the shadowy ceiling, the sound came again. This time it was closer. Asterisk footsteps. Asterisk slow, deliberate, like the sound of someone testing the ground with careful steps. Hannah's heart leapt. She nudged Luke, who was already half asleep beside her. "Luke, did you hear that?" Luke groaned but didn't answer. Hannah stayed still, her breath shallow, her eyes fixed on the zipper of the tent. Then she heard it. Closer now, unmistakable. A voice. Asterisk whispering. Asterisk. She froze, trying to make sense of it, but the words were low and muffled, in a language none of them knew. Her hand reached for her flashlight, but her fingers trembled. Before she could flick it on, the sound stopped. The night was suddenly too quiet. The sound of the wind, the crackling of the fire. Everything had vanished. A knot of dread sat in her stomach as she thought about waking the others. But before she could, the sound came back. Closer, stronger. They were no longer footsteps. It was breathing. Hannah couldn't hold it in anymore. She shook Luke harder, this time loud enough to pull him from his half-sleep. "Luke, there's someone outside." He groaned, sitting up. "What are you talking about?" Before she could explain, a sound came from just outside the tent, the sound of a hand, claw-like, scraping against the fabric. The friends froze. Everyone was awake now, holding their breaths, their voices stuck in their throats. Then, clear as day, a whisper came from just outside the tent. "Let me in." Asterisk. The voice was ragged, thin, with something cold and ancient in its tone. They didn't breathe. They didn't move. Carter grabbed his phone and tried to turn on the flashlight, but his hand was shaking so violently he dropped it. Their eyes darted around the tent, searching for a way to escape, but there was no exit except through the zipper they were too afraid to open.